When to settle a claim and when to go to trial. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the pros and cons of settling a claim versus taking a case all the way through to trial. So first, let's talk about the benefits of settling a case. Well, if you settle a case, it's going to be a faster resolution than going to trial because trials literally will take years from the date of an incident until you get all the way through trial. And then if the verdict is appealed, it'll take even more years. So with a settlement, you've got a fast resolution and it's certain. So that's definitely a benefit in some situations. Also, number two, the benefit of settling a case is it's going to be lower cost. Going to trial is very expensive. Not only do you have the time you have to take away from work, family life, your lawyer's got to put together a whole bunch of work. The witnesses need to be paid. If there's experts cost thousands and thousands of dollars. There's jury fees, there's transcripts. It's just costs a lot of money to go to trial. So if you're looking at a settlement of X dollars and trials just only a hair more. Well, if you pay all these costs to get through trial, at the end of the day, there might be less money in your pocket if you go to trial versus if you settle the case, if your numbers are pretty close to begin with. The third pro of settling a case is certainty. When you settle a case, you know what the numbers are, you know the case is done, everyone signs on the dotted line and you walk away. If you go to trial, you don't know that. You're leaving your verdict up to a bunch of people, and juries often do the right thing, but sometimes juries are random. As a lawyer, I've been to trial and thought I had a really strong case and not done very well. On the flip side, I thought I had a poor case sometimes and I did really well. So there is a matter of randomness that comes from a jury that you eliminate when you settle a case because it gives you that certainty. So what are the downsides of settling a case? Well, the first downside is potentially there's lower compensation. It usually means settling for a lower amount because the insurance companies know that it's very expensive to go to trial, and they can usually cut a better deal. When you settle a case, you're never going to settle for your best day in trial verdict. It's always going to be a sum that's less than that. But again, if they're somewhat close, you get the certainty and a lot of benefits from settling. On the flip side, if it's not close, you may need to take something to trial, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But the second con of settling a case is there's no public record. So if you have a kind of claim that's sort of unique and you really want to make a precedent for it, then when you settle a case, there's probably not going to be a precedent. In fact, if it's a little salacious or makes someone or some company look bad, there's often going to be a confidentiality agreement in your settlement saying you can't go around and tell the newspapers and everybody about what happened and how bad this other person was or whatever you want to do. So by settling, you lose that public record that you would have if you took something to trial. Now, what are the pros of going to trial? We know it's going to take you years to get to trial. We know it's going to be expensive. Well, pro number one is potentially there's higher compensation. The jury might give you an award higher than the settlement offer, especially if the insurance company is really taking a hard stance and giving you a lowball number and your case is very strong and your damages are significant. The second pro of going to trial is public record. When you go to trial, it is a public record. And so it can be a precedent for future cases. So if you've got, sort of a unique issue that potentially is going to impact other people down the road, maybe you want to go to trial so other people, other judges can say, look, we had this unique claim and this is how the verdict came out. So maybe we should handle it this way or that way. Now, what are the cons of going to trial? Well, as we've already mentioned, it's a long process. It can literally take years. And if either side is upset with the verdict, they can appeal it. And appeal can take even more years. So that's definitely not fun. And as we already discussed too, it's higher cost. You've got a lot of costs that go into trial, not just your time off of work or home or family, but the actual costs like hiring the court reporter if you need to do that in your jurisdiction, hiring experts, which are thousands and thousands of dollars, jury fees and things like that. So going to trial is going to be expensive. It's going to take time away from your life. And almost always, if you are taking something to trial, you are sitting there every day. A jury is going to be very upset with you if a jury is called away from their lives to sit in trial every day and you bringing the case don't even show up. It's not a very good optics. You're going to need to be there. And depending what kind of case it is, it may be a few days, it may be weeks. And the third con of going to trial, uncertainty. You don't know what a jury is going to do. Juries will pick up on things we think are not important. Juries will do things we wouldn't expect. And so when you go to trial, you have to understand that the jury verdict can appear somewhat random at times, and you're just going to have to live with it or file an appeal, and the appeal is going to cost some more money. And of course, it's going to cost more time, usually measured in years, not days or weeks. So how do you decide whether you should take a settlement or go to trial? Well, look at the strength of your case. If you've got very, very strong evidence in your favor and you've got, real significant measurable damages, you're going to have a better chance of winning a trial than somebody who has a questionable case with relatively low damages. You're going to have to consider the financial and emotional costs. Can you afford the time and money required for a trial? Are you prepared to sit there for day after day after day to get on the stand and swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, and be questioned and cross-examined by the opposing counsel? And also look at how's a settlement offer. If the settlement offer is pretty fair compared to what you may be getting as a trial verdict, you're probably going to want to take the settlement. However, if the trial verdict value might be up here and your settlement number is way down here, maybe it's worth it going to trial. Probably the best thing to do if you don't know is go consult with a lawyer in your jurisdiction, weigh the pros and cons, and figure out what's best for you. If you're in Nevada and need more personalized advice, go ahead and click the link below, give me a call or shoot me an email, and we can talk about your individual situation.